better. Can people hear me right here? Pretty well? I've got a group of plants right here that we've been working on for a few years, or we've worked with other groups on, that I'm a little afraid that when we're gone, which I understand there's a rumor circulating we're going to leave this December. We're actually going to be around until next December, but really the nursery is going to stop propagation and planting new plants probably by the end of this year, with the idea of having a semi-normal spring and then winding down after that, because we have to be off the property, and that includes plants, equipment, all sorts of things by the end of next year. So there's a lot of plants here that we work on and that nobody seems to be really picking up in the nursery trade. So I'm hoping people will encourage other wholesalers that are left, and there aren't many of us, that are independent wholesalers that might grow some of these plants. And I've got an alphabetical list. I'll just go really quick over. We have a couple of acanthus varieties. We have splattered, which is a variegated acanthus that was found on this property. We have a round-leafed acanthus that we call rounder that was also found on this property. Really round-leafed acanthus bolus. In the agave group, we have agave attenuata Keras stripes, and we have Gary Gregg here. Gary, there he is. He's filming this, and there's not that many people growing this, especially at the wholesale nursery level, and it's a lovely variegation. Woo! And it's not stable in tissue culture, so we've been propagating it by vegetative means for a number of years. And then we've constantly worked on the regular variegated form of Agave attenuata, which anyone that's grown that knows it's a really unstable variegation. Every leaf within the plant can be different, but there are some really amazing plants. And this one's actually a fairly stable one that's right here. Also a plant that we've been really done well with is the variegated Agave Victoria Reginae Alba marginata, a Bill Baker plant that is just sensational. We've built up stock on it, and I understand we had quite a few of them out here to sell for people. And it's one that we've worked on for years, and we maintain about 300 stock plants just to have enough of those to actually divide and sell. And actually, earlier this year, Brian Kimball, are you still around here somewhere? Where's Brian? Brian held a bash at the Ruth Bancroft Garden earlier this year, and we had a stock plant like this that we brought to it just for show. We sold some of the smaller ones, and a gentleman saddled up to me and said, "I'll give you $800 for that plant," and I couldn't pass that up. We also have some albucas. We have a number of different albuca species. This one's not particularly showy here, but albuca aurea, yellow flowering albuca, but we sell several other ones with white flowers. And crinifolia, which is a plant of it right there, which is a nice smaller albuca. And then we have the one I've been working on for years is aloe dufar rose. This is off of aloe dufarensis, which doesn't really grow very well for us. But this open pollinated hybrid that we collected all the seeds off of our dufarensis, and this one does really well for us, and it gets this nice rose color. And and then aloe florentiorum, another great Arabian aloe up here. And we had, I don't know, in the book back here, did we sell them? I don't know if we sold those books, but we had some Aloes of Arabia book back here that would have aloe florentiorum in it, which is one of these aloes that does not have any kind of teeth on the margin. It's a really interesting one. We kind of just worked up our first crops of it. There's a few of them out in the field right now. Aloe pandan is this large aloe in the background. That it's Plicatillus crossed with Barbarae, and you can see how you can see that in this plant. So it's cross there.
Yeah, that's neat.
And then aloe.
Out in the field.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Aloe leuciana. This is a really sensational aloe that Tom Cole described officially. Ugandan aloe. There's a nice little sign here. Am I losing my mic?
No.
Okay. Okay. So It's a aloe from Uganda that he actually discovered on the Mount Morongo, and various color forms. But he shared seed with us a few years ago. It still would be available through Cold Springs Aloes in Montecito, but generally in the wholesale nursery trade, it will not be available anywhere. And Blue Plurum fruticosum. This is grown a crop from seed that I collected at Kew Botanic Gardens. It's just a really fun plant, and I kind of love it because anyone that knows Euphorbia plurifolia, it's kind of named for that resemblance. Nice plants of it also, the Davis Arboretum. Bolokia rotundifolia from the island of Socotra. It's we call it the Socotran boxwood. It's got little orange flowers on it. Luckily, the Huntington Botanic Garden, thanks to Kathy Musio, got plants of this. Make sure the Bolokia. They make sure that they're keeping it around because some of the plants like this, I don't know if people are going to grow, but we need to keep around in collections. It comes from the island of Socotra. Also from the island of Socotra, similarly, is Ruellia insignis. And both of these plants I did get from Glenn Williams, who's somewhere in the crowd here. That came, I think, from Fullerton Arboretum originally. Calissia wardswitziana, this really beautiful purple flowering Calissia in the background here. This plant came from, I'm going to hold this one up because it's one of my favorite plants. This one came from John Bleck, and those of you that haven't met John, he's out in the audience somewhere. He's probably given us more plants than any other single person. I'm going to talk about people that gave us plants when I give my talk a little later. But wardswitziana is a great little plant. There's also a nice planting of it at the entrance of my garden too. And those of you that hadn't been back in the garden should go back there for sure. Callistemon red rover. What a fantastic plant. Joe O'Connell, where are you? I saw you were here. Joe O'Connell? Joe! People are asking. People want more of this plant. I don't think anyone else has this plant besides us and Joe, because I got my plants from Joe, and we've been growing it on. And when we go, you're going to have to get it from Joe.
Oh, I better keep growing.
Yeah, you better keep growing it. Those of you who don't know, Joe O'Connell is Australian native plant nursery in Casita Springs near Ojai. We love her.
Thank you.
This one's called Red Rover. And the funny thing about it, you got to touch it too, because it looks soft, but it actually has a certain amount of stiffness to it that's kind of cool. Carex pomona. It came out of the Pomona Garden of John Greenlee, which is, where is it? Oh, down here. A very fine textured clumping sedge. It's it's a Pragercillus hybrid probably with Divulsa. Ah, yeah, you can pick it up. John Rand here is volunteer. John Rand's volunteering. I don't know, old men like us shouldn't be picking things up. Thank you, John. Casuarina glauca cousinette, another one of my super favorite plants. It's right here. It grows in these kind of wild hummocks. And I know Native Sons has definitely got this plant. We've got it. But I don't know at too many other places that'll have it. And it's a wild spreading thing. The planting of it at Hudson Winery in Napa Valley, that's just amazing. It just spreads way out.
And roots as it does.
Centaurothamenus maximus, this huge daisy. Where are you? Oh, to the very end. It's right in front of Jeff Moore's area. So that big, beautiful thing. We grew up from seed. We didn't know what it was going to do until we found out. It's a huge daisy with gray foliage and kind of purple flowers. Ceropegia dichotoma. Diane Dunhill, you still here? Diane Dunhill. I got this plant from her years ago, And this is kind of an odd planting of it. This is our greenhouse stock plants, but in the normal course, it grows a little bit more upright, but it's sprawling here. But this one has flowers, so I brought it out. Cordia decandra. We of course have the very large Cordia bosseri, the big shrub over in the corner over there, white flowers, beautiful plant. But this one is a Chilean one. This is a Cordia decandra, which came from the Fullerton Arboretum. It's another plant that you're not going to find ever anywhere else. And then the Correas. We have a whole group of Correas that came from the Santa Cruz Arboretum, the whole Koala Blooms program. Well, Koala Blooms program was pretty much Suncrest, us, Rosendale. The Rosendales are here. Where's Jeff and Lisa? They were here somewhere. Jeff, Lisa, the nursery. They're still growing it, but obviously Suncrest is not. There is no Suncrest nursery. And so these really interesting Correas, and I hope Joe O'Connell picks up a few of these. This one and this is Calaman River, and this one is Kangaroo Island. And I think these are durable Correas. And of course, the most durable one of all is Ivory Bells. And then Crassula, we have a Crassula here, a variegated multicava that I think is fantastic. Matthew McGrath, are you here, Matthew? Ah, there you are. This is his plant. It's named for his wife, Miley, and it's Miley's tie-dye. And she's of Thai descent, so we spelled the Thai portion T-H-A-I, so it's got a fun little thing on that. And we're hoping that somebody picks that up because we just built it up to the point where we're about ready to be able to release it, but we haven't sold any yet. Chrysocephalum silver and gold. It's another one of the Koala Blooms plants that I hope somebody picks up on. And Aromophila nivea. We got this from Joe O'Connell, and she'll tell you how difficult it is to keep alive in the garden and keep it nice. What do you say about this plant, Joe? Aromophila nivea. It's beautiful, though. It's worth doing it.
It's worth growing, and I don't have trouble growing it because I don't water it.
Right. So yeah, keep it dry. Years ago, if anyone's in front of our original office structure, we have a feijoa, or octo as it got moved to, and then it got back to a feijoa. It was a funny thing. A variegated form that we actually selected as a seedling, and we call it Lynn's variegated. We used to call it Moosey because that was her nickname as a kid, but she didn't like that. But here it is, a variegated feijoa. We've only been successful by grafting it, though. So someone's going to have to pick it up and graft it. It doesn't produce a good fruit, so that's one straw against it, but it's a beautiful big shrub. Across the street, it's about 10 feet tall. Philodendron Dars gold. I'm going to let Carol Bornstein talk a little bit more about that, but that's a Santa Barbara Botanic Garden introduction. Lomandra longifolia great white. I have a number of people looking at this one. It's part of the Dig Plant Osbreed's collection. It's one of the best of the Lomandra, the variegated Lomandras, and we're the only ones with this plant. So someone's going to take some stock. Joe Call's going to take some stock. I think Pacific Plug and Liner is going to take this. It's part of the Dig Plant's collection, though, as is the Listerman Red Rover we spoke about a minute ago. Mangavia kaleidoscope. You all know the Mangavias have all been coming out of Walter's Gardens, Tea-Seed. This one was not stable in tissue culture, and so Walter's allowed us to vegetatively propagate it. And so this one is one that we're not exclusive on, but we're the main propagator of. Nolina longifolia, this plant. Jeff Chemnick let me borrow this big one, but we have seedlings of it. It's a beautiful plant. You can find that there's a large one publicly visible in the Santa Barbara Cemetery. It's a massive tree-like thing with huge corky bark. And you find them all in a bunch of the old Montecito estates also, this wild-looking Bocarnia-like looking thing with really corky, gnarly bark. And it is a sensational plant. We have seedling 1 gallons of it. This one's probably about 12 years old. It was grown by Western Nursery down in San Diego County. Ornithogalum fibromarginatum. Jim Foster, I saw you a second ago. There you are. This was in his yard. We got seed. I love it because even the seed heads are decorative. So, and the flowers are wonderful. And it's got these nice leaves with these nice little margins on them. But I don't think anyone else is going to grow that. Pelargonium Jack of Hearts. Where is he? Let's see. Well, I don't know. Jay Capac bred this. Jay, are you somewhere? Oh, there you. Do you want to say something about this one?
What about it?
Want to say anything at all about your Pelargonium breeding?
Yes, I joined the Geranium Society in 1976. I was the youngest person, and now I'm the president, and I'm the oldest person. We know they're not geraniums; they're pelargoniums. And rather than change the name of the club, we're going to just call it the Geranium Society. I've been breeding them for many years. I have a unique pelargonium here. It's called Jack of Hearts. And Randy is selling it. He has very nice plants in gallons. It starts blooming at the end of winter. And it will bloom all summer long as long as you cut back every now and then. Cut back some of the flowers. So we have one on display here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jay. And as I'm going to mention in my talk a little later, a lot of these plants that we credit for introducing are really plants that we're growing for other people. So, wow, that mic goes there. Okay. Raphilepis Fiesta, the variegated Raphilepis here. I don't think anyone else is growing this one. Ruellia, we already talked about. Senecio Pomeroy, silver and gold. That is a Santa Barbara Botanic Gardens introduction. It looks great just by foliage, but when it has the yellow flowers on top of that, it's very, very cool. Not terribly long-lived in the landscape, but a beautiful plant. Synchorogelia Galactic Warrior, just a very cool bromeliad, and we have a few bromeliads, and this is one we built stock from one plant that we got from Jeff Chemnick about 8 years ago. He always regrets giving me a plant. Then Strobilanthus gopina, the pewter bush, I think one of those sensational plants here. It's what's called a pilestio, meaning it actually flowers not in like 1 year, but it'll go maybe 5, 10, 15 years. And then when they flower in nature, they flower gregariously so that a whole hillside will be flowering. And then unfortunately, they almost all die. But as a foliage plant, it's been really, really good. And this one's in a generation that we did from seed that's probably about 7 years old. And then we've got Uncarina grandidieri, which for frost-free gardens is really one of the sesame family plants. Very cool, yellow flowers. Don't play with the fruit if you ever have this plant fruit for you, because your hands will get stuck on it, and especially if you reach over with your second hand to actually unhook the first. You'll be, you remember those Chinese torture things? Yeah, well, that's Uncarina for you. And I notice I have a hectia here that I didn't put on my list, Hectia lanata, one of the Oaxacan hectias, which is, I think, is one of my favorite plants. And this one is a male. They're male and female. I have a female in front of my office, but just got these neat trichomes on the leaves. And I think somewhere, oh yeah, on the corner of that display, there's another Hectia tillandsioides, that actually is the only friendly Hectia there is. No Hectia is really friendly, but it's like a Dicea or Dicea that you get the leaf margins are pretty sharp. And that's kind of my talk on these plants. But if you have any other question about any other plants out here, oh, this is my cousin it section, of course. We have the casuarina cousin it. We have Robert Bett. Are you still here somewhere? We have an association with Plant Haven, a long time association, and this is Kunzia the Fawns. This is one of theirs. And then, of course, you all know Acacia cousin it. And then this is if you guys got in my garden, this is a ephedra tweediana. This is one of the ephedras, and then in my garden it's a pretty big haystack. So, Marcia Donahue is laughing.
It's huge.
It's huge. All right. So did I kill enough time there, John?
John's up. Where's
Did
John?
he talk about the combretum?
I don't think. No, he didn't.
Talk about the combretum.
Oh, I skipped the combretum.
Come on, Randy.
Holy moly.
Come on.
It's not on my
thing in the
list.
room. I know. It's so
It's not on my list.
How
It
could
doesn't
you-
exist.
how could you
Well, it
miss it?
basically doesn't exist in the nursery. The Combretum fruticosum. Jim Henrik is taking pictures right here. Jim can tell you about the most beautiful Combretum fruticosum that used to grace the entrance to the Los Angeles Arboretum and no longer is there.
We still have 3 plants.
You still have 3 plants, but they're not in that location, are they?
No, there's one behind the scenes and there are 2 way up on Pollock now.
Okay, I'm glad you still have it.
Yes.
But I did send you an email a while back saying, God, if you want to get the last ones, we pretty much have sold this one out. This is going to Dana Point Nursery. Anderson LaCosta Nursery. They bought it the other day. But I said, hey, I have to have it for field day. But you can see these bottle brush-like flowers. It's in its own family, the Combretaceae. We saw wonderful examples of this in Mexico. The one thing that hopefully Anderson LaCosta will realize is oftentimes on a truck, when this thing is delivered, all the flowers bounce off. So it's kind of like, uh-oh, you had it in flower when you bought it, but what the heck happened?
Next year.
Great for hummingbirds, right. It's a big kind of, not a clasping vine, but it's very vine-like, and it attaches to metal structures. I mean, so it has to be, it needs some support. We really had a lot of difficulty propagating it. Monrovia Nursery was growing this plant, and we bought some plants from them, and try as we might, we could not root them. And we gave one to a friend of ours, and they planted it in their yard, and eventually one of those flowered and sent seed. And the seed, not very many seeds, so we grew the plant from seed, and then put that plant in the greenhouse, and then it flowered. Once it flowered, we had more juvenile growth on this seedling plant, and we were able to propagate from that. The same is true of that big vine that's across the front of the office there, the vanilla trumpet vine. I tried like heck to root the old woody plants. They're all over in the old Montecito state gardens. We couldn't get them rooted, and then we had the same thing happen where we actually had a seedling, and we were able to grow it. And then we put, we got a couple cuttings of this one to root, and we compared the two. We liked the old one better because the seedling probably crossed with rivers or something else. So we actually went back to actually growing one plant of the true Laxiflora in the greenhouse. And if you get in the greenhouse, you'll see it. It's kind of covering a corner of the greenhouse. And that wood we could actually cut from. So better plant, but yeah. So these plants, on the history we're going to have, the website, by the way, is going to remain working. I'm going to take it on. My partners have told me that I can have the website.
Great.
So I'm going to keep that going. And I don't know how. I'm going to have to figure out a way to pay for hosting costs and whatever else, but we'll work on that later. And where are we supposed to go to buy plants? I don't know. Joel Connell, yeah, you got that. What, you got Alice in Wonderland? What? Well, it's especially locally, it's going to be very much of a challenge for people around here. I don't know. You'll have to ask about. Yeah. Where are you going to go?
Monterey Bay,
Yeah.
the dry garden.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. The dry garden. There we go. Go up to the Bay Area. You can find places up there. Yeah, we used to have Los Arroyos, Rosendale Nursery, Griggs Nursery. Some of them are going to stick around. We hope. That's all, folks.
Let's hear it for Randy Baldwin. Yeah!